Hey everybody, it's Angela, and I'm just going to show you some of the process of assembling this double width dollhouse, because I did do her single wide dollhouse earlier and a lot of the process is exactly the same. But I wanted to show you on this, essentially this comes with this middle panel that I'm sitting right there that has the two doors in it, and it divides it into 4 rooms. And I decided to leave that panel out and make it into 2 large rooms. So that's what's going to be different on this particular build. So I also know that I'm going to cover pretty much all of this with paper, so I don't need to prime everything. I'm just going to go ahead and glue it up. I'm going to paint the cracks and edges that show or where the paper is going to meet. So that way, if my paper edges don't meet exact, it'll just be a little bit of white that's showing. And since the paper pad that I chose is predominantly more to the white side, white should be good. If you were doing darker colors of paper, you might want to use a darker color for your edges and where your papers meet. So I just started right in with my gluing, and I'm using the Scotch quick dry adhesive. Just like I have in the past. I know Saw uses like the Aleene's wood glue, and that would work awesome too. It'd probably work better than this, although I don't have any problems with this, because once you get all that paper and stuff Mod Podged on there, you've got so much glue and stuff holding this thing together that it's not a problem. And I tried filling those slots, those open slots that you see like in the back where that divider panel used to be. I tried filling that with some hot glue, which was fine. It did make my paper bubble a little bit because I think the hot glue was non-porous and the MDF is porous, and so when I went and put all that Mod Podge on it, it wanted to bubble where that hot glue was because the Mod Podge couldn't soak in or whatever. But like I said, I had so many layers of paper and stuff, it wasn't a big deal. But you could not fill those cracks, and it's probably better than trying to do what I did, which was fill the cracks with hot glue. So there I got everything assembled for the base. I didn't put the roof on yet. And I took a piece of this waste material out of this one roof panel and I used it to fill that bottom crack. If your waste material comes in your package, you can put it back in. I didn't have that. It was pretty well cleaned out. So you can see there I filled that crack with some hot glue, and that was totally unnecessary. But yeah, so anyhow, then I just painted the cracks and the edges where my paper met with white paint. And now I'm going to use the Die Cuts with a View butterfly garden paper. And I love this paper because I was really loving Saw's Dollhouse with her graphic 45 paper, and it kind of reminded me of this a little bit, just more whimsical, more soft and feminine. And usually I'm kind of jumping all around when it comes to what paper I use, so it was a little bit of a difference for me to try to stick with one paper pack, but it actually was easier in the long run because it limited your choices and made things go a little faster. The only where I deviated from this paper stack was on my roof, where I used that same crepe paper, shingle paper I used on my last dollhouse, just because I had more of it and wanted to use it up. And then also I believe it was Maggie Holmes, some wood grain paper that I used for the floor, because I did want the floor to kind of look like wood planks. And what I do on mine is I just use a ruler and measure up the panels and then just cut them to fit. So you can see here I just measure up what my side measurements are going to be. Then I transfer that to my paper. And then I'm going to cut out 2 of those, one for each side. And then what I do in order to do the windows is I slide that in, make sure it fits good. Then I just trace around the window hole for each side. I take them back out, I label them which one was the right and which one was the left because the windows aren't exactly centered. So you need to be aware of that. And then I just took an X-Acto knife and freehanded around there. Now you could use a ruler, straight edge on the straight parts and just freehand the curve. And that would be great. You could make a hole in that and then take your scissors, some really small scissors, and cut them from the inside is a way to do it as well. But this just seemed to work the easiest for me. And if it's not perfect straight, and it's a little wobbly because around those curves it's pretty hard, I just use a little ink and go around the edge, or after I glue it on there, you could take a little bit of an emery board and sand the edge a little bit, and it'll look wonderful. So then I just take my Mod Podge and put a coat of it down, then put my paper, and then put another coat of Mod Podge on top of that. And I put that paper over the whole wall, and later I put another piece over the base of that wall as kind of a wainscoting. And I also found some scraps out of my stash and was able to Mod Podge a rug on the top floor and one on the bottom floor. So here I'm going to go ahead and cut the wallpaper for the downstairs room, and I will cut here in a minute to the final product. And I had narrated that and I wasn't going to show this, but then decided to go ahead and put some of this assembly in anyway. So hey everybody, it's Angela, and I just wanted to share this SaCrafters altered dollhouse with you. And I did this pretty much the same as I did her previous dollhouse, although this is the double-sized dollhouse, and I'll put a link to all of her products below. But let me show you first a close-up of the inside. And there is the bedroom. I used a SaCrafters frame there in the back and a bird cage with a bird. There is a bedside table, this little cradle, and then on the bottom floor I've got a chandelier in there, the fireplace, Christmas tree. There's a little clock on the wall over there. So I'll show the inside, and then I'm going to have to take out the things because they're not glued in here. I wanted to leave this mostly with everything coming out so that it can be played with. And then I also, on this house, did like I did on the other, and I made a hinged attic room. So you can see this okay. I've just got a bunch of little things in there like an attic would have. And then on the other side, it's kind of the same thing. All right, so let me take all the stuff out, and then I will show you exactly what products I used. Okay, so I took everything out of the dollhouse, and I covered this with die cuts with a view butterfly garden paper. And I really loved how Sa was altering her dollhouse with the graphic 45 paper, and so I really wanted to make this a little more whimsical, and so I just loved these spring-like colors. And I put some of SaCrafters gingerbread or fancy corners on the top of each gable. And on this house, the way this board comes over this one, so it's a little harder to hinge these than it was her single dollhouse. But so as you can see, the roof doesn't sit exactly flat in order to make the hinges work. But because I really want this so that a kid can actually play with it, I thought having the little attic rooms was more important or more fun to a child than it looking perfect. So anyhow, so I went ahead and I did hinge these, and I used some extra SaCrafters products. I used one of her fancy oval frames, a birdhouse with a bird, one of her doll baby carriages, and then this is the bedside table that comes with the bed and that comes with the dollhouse. And I did go ahead and glue this piece in there just because it was small and it would want to fall over easily. So I went ahead and glued that in. As you can see, I Mod Podged a rug in the bottom, and then there's the roof. Like I said, it's all the die cuts with a view butterfly garden. On the bottom floor, I put one of SaCrafters chandeliers and I put some bling on it. And then I used my die cut machine to do a scalloped doily that I Mod Podged on here to make another rug. This fireplace comes with the dollhouse, and then I've got the two little flame pieces in there. And then I had a little clock piece of, or a little clock charm that I put on there. I just hot glued on there. Then on this side, these shutters come with the dollhouse. And then I put this extra fence and bicycle just like I did on my last dollhouse, along with another signpost that says Darling Lane. On the back of the dollhouse, again, I used the fence and lattice and birdhouse like I used on my last one. However, since this one was a double width dollhouse, I had enough room to put one of these beautiful lampposts on here. And then I also put this little bird bath. And I did cut the bird bath down to make it a little shorter so it was a little more in scale. Then I've got a little birdhouse, a bird, and then also one of Sa's kites. I just put a tail and that I glued on there. So that's the back. And then this last side, I have one of her garden benches, and again on this one I also cut the legs down just a little bit, just so it wasn't quite so tall. And then I have a little bird sitting on there. And then the attic rooms just have more of the same papers. And the other side is the same. Oh, and I hot glued one of her little guitars in the attic. And so that is the dollhouse. And then the furniture that comes with the dollhouse, there is a dining table, and for some reason the top of my dining table wasn't in my kit. It must have gotten left out. But I had a bunch of these little wooden discs already, and I liked the fact that it made a little bit bigger tabletop to set more stuff on. So I just I cut the tab off the top of the pedestal and just glued it to this little wooden disc. So the table that comes with the kit, the tabletop is a little bit smaller than the one shown here. And then there are 2 chairs that come with that. Then there is a little bench and a coffee table. And there is a bed. And I put, Saw's been closing out her Zibbit store, so she had a bunch of this for sale. And it worked great to put over the top of the bed, just to add some softness. And then there was a rocking chair in this Dollhouse kit, and I was having a little bit of problem getting the balance right on it, and I wanted to do like a nursery theme and put the you know, the baby carriage on the back wall. So I wanted to do just a little cradle. So I took the 2 legs from the rocking chair and I just made a little chipboard box with some leftover packaging, and then glued the 2 rocking chair legs to each side to make a little thing, and it rocks just fine. And so when you get yours, you won't have this exact thing. You'll have a rocking chair, but if you want to make this, it's really simple. And then the last SaCrafters product I used in here was one of her trees, and I went ahead and made this a Christmas tree so that it would be themed for Christmas. But I had also thought about gluing some trees like on the corners of my house like that, which would be really cute. But I didn't do that. I went ahead and made it into a Christmas tree, but you can certainly, it's an idea. But this tree fit size-wise just perfect in here near the fireplace. And I have some of her little Christmas stockings that I could make to hang along the fireplace, but I don't want this to be Christmas themed dollhouse. You know, I just want to be able to put Christmas in here for a little bit and then take Christmas back out. So that is my finished project, and I will put a link to Saw's products down below. And if you want to see how to assemble something like this, I do have a video putting together the single with the dollhouse. And oh, I should also mention that this dollhouse comes originally being 4 rooms. It has this divider with doors in it that when you put the dollhouse together, it slots in. And I didn't want to make 4 separate rooms. I just wanted to make 2, so I left this out and then just papered over the cracks that the slots that slotted into this. I hope this makes sense. And left this out. So, and then papered over, so it just made 2 wider rooms, which was a little bit easier for my hands to get in there, and it also makes it a little brighter because you don't have that wall dividing and the shadow from it. So when you get yours, it'll come with this extra divider, which you can definitely put in. That's super cute. I just opted not to on this one. So you definitely have the option to make this 2 bigger rooms like this, or to make it into 4 rooms. So anyhow, that is my finished dollhouse, and if you have any questions or anything, just leave me a comment below. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.